What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I got a brand new video for y'all, and we got another US election prediction. You already know what's up, so we're gonna get back to these videos. Obviously, we know that there's only 23 days left till the election, or 21 days, sorry, rather. Pretty crazy, man. Pretty crazy. So, I'm gonna be making these more often. It's been a while since I made one of these, and usually when I do make these videos, I make like many in quick succession. So I'm gonna try to make these a bit more dispersed, maybe a bit more often now that the election's coming up. But anyways, let's get right into it. So I'm gonna be relying on 538, the polls right here, and I will be using that primarily to make my predictions of what's gonna happen. So it's been a while since I made one of these, as you guys know, and I think a lot has to be talked about. There's many things that have happened since then. Obviously, I don't think I spoke about the. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna leave Arizona as blank. Disregard this. I don't think I spoke about the Trump assassination attempt, the second one. I'm not sure I did, but that did happen. We had that guy. I don't know what his name was, Ryan Routh or something like that. I think that was his name. And he was pretty close, man. He was pretty much lined up to kill Trump, which could have been disastrous, as you guys know. That would have changed everything. Like literally everything would have changed. So luckily that didn't happen. There was another close call though, if you really think about it. Recently, there was that guy outside of Trump's rally. I think it was in California, where he was like holding a gun or something. I was like, "Whoa, man, this is it's getting bad." By the way, for the ones that I am putting as blue, some of these swing states or red, disregard that. It's a habit of mine. I'll talk about those later, and it may switch. Yeah, North Carolina as well. I don't know why I did that. But anyways, so yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that have happened since then. And yes, we are in the October period. There may be an October surprise. Who knows? Many people are saying Lebanon, the Israeli Lebanon invasion is the October surprise. I don't really know if that's really the case, but many people have been saying that. Actually, now it's technically called the September surprise because it did happen in September. But yeah, I mean, there's obviously something that's gonna happen. We already know how this election stuff works. We know how politics is, man. Something's gonna happen. Something's gonna come up, and I don't know. One of the candidates will probably benefit very much, or they will lose a lot. So we'll just have to see, man. So yeah, so here we have some of these swing states. I don't know why I didn't put Utah. Um, and I want to break these down. By the way, these are not the official results. I'm gonna talk about these. Let's talk about Nevada first. Nevada, sorry, Nevada. I know a lot of people are getting mad at me for saying Nevada. Nevada. Okay, it's getting very close. It's getting very close. This is probably one of the closest it's ever been since early September, when Trump actually held a lead in Nevada. As we know, Harris eventually increased her lead to about a point and a half, but now it's about zero point 0.5, which is really nothing if you really think about it. So this, I think, could spell some danger for the Harris campaign. Keep in mind that Nevada is another state. I mean, it's in that area of Arizona, you know, California. So it is technically more so Democrat leaning because it did actually vote Democrat in like the last three elections for sure. I know that. So it is pretty Democrat. But again, I mean, this is zero point 0.5. This could be one of the closest states in the entire election. And based on that information, what we have so far, I would not be surprised to say that Nevada will go to Republicans. Now, this could help out Trump massively. And by the way, this is not the accurate prediction because I haven't spoken about Arizona, Georgia, or anything like that. So let's talk about Arizona now. And yes, I do think Nevada will go to Trump. I'm like 90% certain now. More certain than I've ever been, actually, because, the polls were looking decent for Trump at one point, but they weren't very reliable. Now let's take a look at Arizona. Okay, so Arizona, Trump has basically cemented himself as the guy. So September 18th, they were even. Okay, 47.1, 47.1. Now Trump is up 1.6. This is not like I think Arizona is lost for Democrats. I don't think there's any chance they can win now. They did have a small lead at one point in late August, early September, but that's gone now. That's long gone for the Democrats. And yeah, I mean he's been doing pretty solid. I Since it says 1.6 again, margin of error I would say is about 1.5 for these polls. So he's either at 3 points or he's at zero point 0.1. Regardless, he still would be winning Arizona. So I will give Arizona to Republicans as I put it down here. So I'm not really surprised by that. Next up, we got Georgia. That's another interesting one. A lot of people are interested in that one. Okay, so Georgia. Okay, let's take a look at Georgia. Georgia, Trump is up 1 point. So again, I'll apply the same 1.5 rule. I don't want to be unfair. It could be up to 2.5 for Trump, or it could be as much as 0.5 for Harris. With that being said, the 0.5 for Harris would be a best case scenario for her, right? So, but a best case scenario for Trump could be 2.5. So if you look at the polls, and obviously Georgia, Trump lost in 2020. We already know what happened there. But he did win in 2016, obviously, and Republicans typically perform well in Georgia. So I would not be completely surprised if they lost because they did lose in 2020. But then again, all the polls and all the indications suggest that Georgia will go red yet again because it always does. It always does. And it in these states like Arizona, Georgia, maybe not Nevada in this case, but these two states specifically, usually states like this revert back to what they usually vote for the preferred candidate. I mean, these were complete exceptions in 2020. This doesn't happen often, right? Republicans don't lose Arizona usually. They don't lose Georgia usually. So that was an exception. Now let's talk about Wisconsin. And I know a lot of people have some questions about Wisconsin. So Wisconsin was the one state that I have to correct myself now. I said that Wisconsin is 100% going blue back in about late September or late August, early September-ish. But look what happened, man. Look what happened. 0.5 points for Democrats. They're up by almost like 4 points, dog. They're up almost 4 points. This could have put them at like 5.3 if we're applying the 1.5 rule, which is astonishing if you really consider where we're at right now. It could be as high as 2 points for Democrats, but it could also be as low as 1 point for Republicans, man. So again, Wisconsin, you see the trend. You guys see the trend. I mean, there wasn't a single point where Trump has actually tied Harris in Wisconsin, and there's not a single point where he actually led. But guess what? We're trending towards that. If the polls are actually accurate here, there's no reason to believe that Harris will win Wisconsin because in reality, it is trending in the opposite direction that it should be for her. You know, she would have wanted this to happen, this to continue, right? Like this trajectory where she just keeps extending her lead. But guess what? It went the opposite way, man. Now she's losing. So I will say that Wisconsin will go to Republicans, and that'll be a shocker for many. That's a Rust Belt state that needs to be won by whichever party wants to win the White House. And I mean, losing Wisconsin is huge. That's huge. Okay, let's go to North Carolina because I know North Carolina is another topic of discussion. We already know what happened with Mark Robinson, guys. I don't have to talk about it again. He's a very interesting character. You guys can look up the story. But that could, many people were speculating that would hurt Trump in the polls. But, I mean, as far as I'm aware, doesn't really seem like it, man. Doesn't really seem like it. I mean, there was a point where Harris was leading in North Carolina for a very brief period, and she was pretty close within point one at one point in late September. But guess what, man? Trump is just taking it again. So yeah, he's about 2.5 points. Could be as low as 0.5 for Democrats. Again, North Carolina typically votes Republican. Don't really see a reason why it would go to Democrats in this election, particularly. Mark Robinson could be a factor to some extent, but at the moment, I don't see how it'll change the election. I just don't see it. And ultimately, I think North Carolina is arguably more important than Arizona and Georgia for Republicans to retain. I mean, if you lose Georgia, fine. Let's say this goes blue, and then they win. I mean, they still win the election, right? If they win Pennsylvania, so North Carolina is a pretty important one, only because actually no, it's the same electoral vote. So you know what? Scratch what I just said. North Carolina is important, Georgia is important, but North Carolina is definitely more important than Arizona, Nevada. Okay, Michigan. Michigan, man, I love Michigan. By the way, I love that state. Okay, so again, Michigan. So we had another thing going on in Michigan where Harris was pretty much just killing every poll at one point when Biden dropped out. And look where we're at now. Now it's tightening up, man. Now it's tightening up. So it's about zero point 0.8 for Harris, which I would not be confident with if I were a Democrat. So again, this is not looking good for Harris at all. Like, this is crazy that Trump is this close. And you got to give his campaign people credit, man. The fact that he came up or he came back from these numbers, like these were solid numbers that he was losing by, right? Like this is almost 4 points at one point, and now he's only down point 0.8. This is a toss up pretty much, and I will give it to Republicans for that matter. For that reason, I will give it to Republicans. I will give Michigan to Republicans. I just don't see how, considering the current trajectory, how is Harris going to salvage Michigan? She just can't. She can't do it. It's impossible. Let's talk about Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania again, another one I wanted to talk about. Trump was very much narrowing the lead in Pennsylvania in September or so. And there was a period of time from mid September all the way to, I would say, end of September, where Harris was like, okay, we're not doing too bad. We're not doing too bad. But guess what, guys? Just like every other state, pretty much, that we've been talking about for swing states, Trump has been doing much better than has been expected. He is down only zero point 0.7 points, guys. Zero point 0.7. I mean, this is unbelievable. And by the way, to all the people in Pennsylvania, um, many people I've spoken to in Pennsylvania who live in Pennsylvania, who have visited Pennsylvania in the last few weeks, have told me, man, like the mood is changing. It's very much in favor of Republicans, and the fact that it's zero point 0.7 pretty is pretty indicative of the fact that the Democrats have not been performing well in Pennsylvania. So yeah, I'll leave Pennsylvania as red. I do have confidence that Trump will win that. Let's talk about Virginia really quickly. Yeah, so Virginia, look, many people have been, especially Republicans, have been saying, okay, maybe Virginia can be one. I no, I don't see it. I mean, this is almost 8 points. This is pretty far gone for Republicans. I don't think Virginia will be one in this election for Republicans, but it could be in the next election. But yeah, man, this is my map. I mean, this it's been a while since I've had one of these maps where it's like pretty much a blowout for Republicans or Democrats, either one. But especially for Republicans, I mean, 312 is that's a pretty big victory in this day and age, and you got to give Trump and his people credit. I mean, they've done a really good job with the campaigning and the rallies and all sorts of things, right? With the town halls, especially, they've been doing a really good job. So they've been grinding, and Harris has been sort of in her basement, not really doing anything, right? No interviews, no major town halls or anything like that. I mean, I know she was on The View uh last week, but that's not really anything. So yeah, man, my only suggestion to the Harris campaign would be probably get her out more, and my suggestion to Trump campaign would be keep doing what you're doing. And either party, whoever wins, we'll have to find out 21 days, guys. But if you are an American citizen, make sure to vote. Make sure to cast your vote in this election. Make your voice heard. And yeah, uh, I'll see you on the next one. I appreciate the support, man. To all the American viewers out there, good luck. That's all I gotta say. Good luck. Thank y'all for the support, and I'll see you on the next one.